Greetings, everyone. I would like to greet you in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. We do thank God for giving us this opportunity to go through this talk. I know that most people become interested in their health, especially when they start getting sick. Most of the time, when people are okay, some of people don't really give a second thought to their health. But once they get sick and they have to see a doctor, then they are interested in health, and especially when the sickness or the diagnosis they get is very scary, like cancer or heart attack, then people stop whatever they're doing and they need to start listening. But now God has given us a chance to speak and to learn from each other in this journey that we're walking, so that we can give each other tips and we can help ourselves as we go along the way. Yesterday's presentation was a very detailed one, went in depth about herbs, origins, and where we are now, where drugs came in along the way, and here we are today. My topic today, I have decided to call it Faith in Action. I know that the arm of healing, or the arm of dealing with disease, that I'm going to emphasize today has a lot to do more with our faith, especially faith in God, with our trust in God. And when we practice this according to what God has given us, it's us putting our faith in action. So I've just decided to call this talk Faith in Action. Okay. My name is Rutendo Matanda. I'm a medical doctor, trained at the University of Zimbabwe. Now I'm currently doing my master's with Wits University, but I am also running Bethel Bella Vita Wellness Center, which is what I'm representing today. It's Bethel Bella Vita Wellness Center. Our physical wellness center is in Zimbabwe, and that's the address, 275 Kota Road, Waterfalls, Harare in Zim. We do have a Facebook page. Please visit us, give us your thoughts, like, share, take part in what we post. Our Facebook page is Bethel Bella Vita, and the email is also displayed there. If you have any questions, you need more information, you need to get hold of us, just email us, or also better still, visit our website. Is we have displayed it there. That's our contact number, but it's mainly on WhatsApp. So if you need to WhatsApp us for anything, you can just get hold of us at that number. So at Bethel Bella Vita, we deal with disease in a different way. We emphasize on prevention and reversal of disease. You see, when you come to the hospital, or if you come to see me at the hospital, it's an ordinary hospital, and we do the consultation, and I finish diagnosing you with hypertension or with diabetes, I'm going to discuss with you how to manage your condition. Managing your condition means this condition is always going to be there. So we just need to find ways of coexisting with it. You don't manage something that's non-existent, right? So if you are managing your diabetes or managing your hypertension or managing your osteoarthritis, we are saying you're going to have this disease, but let's see how you and the disease can coexist. But at Bethel Bella Vita, we do believe that disease is reversible. So we don't want to just manage, we want to reverse disease. So when you come and you walk into our rooms, or when you consult with us, even online consultations we do, when you get hold of us and you want an online consultation, the main goal for us is to reverse whatever disease that you have, so that in the end, you are fully back to your health. You are a healthy person who doesn't depend on the next tablet or the next bottle to be okay. So this is what we basically do at Bethel. I'm going to get into detail as we go through, and as we continue, I will be telling you stories of the different patients here and there. Obviously, I'm going to conceal their identities. Okay, let's start with a few verses from the Bible. If you read Psalm 103, verse 1 to 3, I like that chapter. It says a lot about the relationship between God and me. Okay, so Psalms 103 verse 1 to 3 says that, I'm just paraphrasing, it's saying, rejoice and praise the Lord, O ye my soul, for he is God, who forgiveth all thy iniquities, who healeth all thy diseases. So I want you to understand that healing of all diseases, or disease reversal, because once you are healed, your disease process has been reversed. So healing of all diseases, or disease reversal of all, underlying all diseases, comes from God. Okay, so that verse is, it's such a strong verse to tell us that whatever sickness you have, it is God who can heal it. Exodus 15 verse 26, we do get to hear God speak. He says, if you hearken, or if you listen to all my statutes, all my laws, all everything that I have put across for you to follow, if you diligently listen to that, I will put none of these diseases that I put upon the Egyptians, for I am the Lord your God that healeth thee. So in this verse, you find combined prevention and healing. And prevention of disease and healing of disease, all of that is anchored on obedience. I want you to go through this verse slowly. You will see that prevention of disease or healing of disease is anchored in obeying God. There is no true health outside obedience to God. Everything is based on obedience. So as we go along, we'll learn some of these statutes and how God has given us some of these guidelines, so that if we want to claim our health back, we listen to Him, we obey, we correct. And let me tell you one thing, in my years of practice as a medical doctor and practicing the way God wants, I have seen way much more success in obeying God than in disobeying God. I have seen more success in my patients who get complete disease reversal when we follow the steps and we correct the steps. We use the simple methods that God has given us. We use that to manage disease. I have seen a lot of improvement, way much better than I have seen in a situation where all I'm doing is giving someone prescription medicine. Let me give you a little background to how I started practicing. I know most people ask me, but how do you balance it? But you're a medical doctor, how do you do it? So sometimes I tell people that I'm a Christian first before I'm a medical doctor. So it is God who has called me on this journey, and I've always wanted to listen to what God tells me. So how we actually started is when I graduated with my primary degree, and I started working at a central hospital in Zimbabwe. That was 2009. I kept asking myself as we were running the clinics, each time I see a patient, I give them a prescription. The next time they come, no matter how careful they are in taking their prescription medicine, they come back, the blood pressures are not controlled, the sugars are not controlled. One way or the other, I have to add another drug for the hypertension. I started with one, I'm now on two, I end up with three. I have diabetes on board. I have to continue adding. So I felt very useless. Like, is this why I became a doctor? Just to be, titrating doses and writing, 2 tablets today, 3 types tomorrow, 4, and then the patient's clinical condition or quality of life is really not changing. So when I was thinking about it, it became a little bit depressing. I also looked at when I was still a student, we used to have a register of patients, and we used to follow patients, them up and phone them, but the numbers grew so big that we couldn't cope. And if you look at the figures now, or heart disease, hypertension, diabetes, these are leading world killers, and the numbers are just ballooning. Even obesity, you look at it, the numbers are ballooning and you can't cope. So I was looking at myself and thinking, okay, I am a doctor. My job really has come down to writing prescriptions and adjusting prescriptions according to the readings that I have in front of me. But is that all that I can do? what exactly am I doing to the next person who doesn't have a diagnosis yet? What difference can I make to that person who already has a diagnosis? I was a patient myself. I used to have dysfunctional uterine bleeding, very painful periods, and I would bleed so heavily during my periods as well. And then all I could have was, okay, take the brufen, take the indocid or the diclofenac, make sure to take iron supplements, and that's it. And so I kept asking, is there nothing more that can be done? Then, with careful little steps, God guided me to learn how He wants us to approach disease. And I started making those small changes step by step, and then got some training and certification in Greetings, everyone. I would like to greet you in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. We do thank God for giving us this opportunity to go through this talk. I know that most people become interested in their health, especially when they start getting sick. Most of the time, when people are okay, some of people don't really give a second thought to their health. But once they get sick and they have to see a doctor, then they are interested in health. And especially when the sickness or the diagnosis they get is very scary, like cancer or heart attack, then people stop whatever they're doing and they need to start listening. But now God has given us a chance to speak and to learn from each other in this journey that we're walking, so that we can give each other tips and we can help ourselves as we go along the way. Yesterday's presentation was a very detailed one, went in depth about herbs, origins, and where we are now, where drugs came in along the way, and here we are today. My topic today, I have decided to call it Faith in Action. I know that the arm of healing or the arm of dealing with disease that I'm going to emphasize today has a lot to do more with our faith, especially faith in God, with our trust in God. And when we practice this according to what God has given us, it's us putting our faith in action. So I've just decided to call this talk Faith in Action. Okay. My name is Rutendo Matanda. I'm a medical doctor, trained at the University of Zimbabwe. Now I'm currently doing my master's with the Wits University. But I am also running Bethel Bella Vita Wellness Center, which is what I'm representing today. It's Bethel Bella Vita Wellness Center. Our physical wellness center is in Zimbabwe, and that's the address, 275 Kota Road, Waterfalls, Harare in Zim. We do have a Facebook page. Please visit us, give us your thoughts, like, share, take part in what we post. Our Facebook page is Bethel Bella Vita, and the email is also displayed there. If you have any questions, you need more information, you need to get hold of us, just email us, or also better still, visit our website, as we have displayed it there. That's our contact number, but it's mainly on WhatsApp. So if you need to WhatsApp us for anything, you can just get hold of us at that number. So at Bethel Bella Vita, we deal with disease in a different way. We emphasize on prevention and reversal of disease. You see, when you come to the hospital, or if you come to see me at the hospital, it's an ordinary hospital, and we do the consultation, and I finish diagnosing you with hypertension or with diabetes, I'm going to discuss with you how to manage your condition. Managing your condition means this condition is always going to be there. So we just need to find ways of coexisting with it. You don't manage something that's non-existent, right? So if you are managing your diabetes or managing your hypertension or managing your osteoarthritis, we are saying you're going to have this disease, but let's see how you and the disease can coexist. But at Beta Bella Vita, we do believe that disease is reversible. So we don't want to just manage, we want to reverse disease. So when you come and you walk into our rooms, or when you consult with us, even online consultations we do, when you get hold of us and you want an online consultation, the main goal for us is to reverse whatever disease that you have, so that in the end you are fully back to your health. You are a healthy person who doesn't depend on the next tablet or the next bottle to be okay. So this is what we basically do at Bethel. I'm going to get into detail as we go through, and as we continue, I will be telling you stories of the different patients here and there. Obviously, I'm going to conceal their identities. Okay, let's start with a few verses from the Bible. If you read Psalm 103, verse 1 to 3, I like that chapter. It says a lot about the relationship between God and me. Okay, so Psalm Psalms 103 verse 1 to 3 says that, I'm just paraphrasing, it's saying, rejoice and praise the Lord, O ye my soul, for he is God, who forgiveth all thy iniquities, who healeth all thy diseases. So I want you to understand that healing of all diseases, or disease reversal, because once you are healed, your disease process has been reversed. So healing of all diseases, or disease reversal of all, underlying all diseases, comes from God. Okay, so that verse is, it's such a strong verse to tell us that whatever sickness you have, it is God who can heal it. Exodus 15 verse 26, we do get to hear God speak. He says, if you hearken, or if you listen to all my statutes, all my laws, all everything that I have put across for you to follow, if you diligently listen to that, I will put none of these diseases that I put upon the Egyptians, for I am the Lord your God that healeth thee. So in this verse, you find combined prevention and healing. And prevention of disease and healing of disease, all of that is anchored on obedience. I want you to go through this verse slowly. You will see that prevention of disease or healing of disease is anchored in obeying God. There is no true health outside obedience to God. Everything is based on obedience. So as we go along, we'll learn some of these statutes and how God has given us some of these guidelines, so that if we want to claim our health back, we listen to Him, we obey, we correct. And let me tell you one thing, in my years of practice as a medical doctor and practicing the way God wants, I have seen way much more success in obeying God than in disobeying God. I have seen more success in my patients who get complete disease reversal when we follow the steps and we correct the steps. We use the simple methods that God has given us. We use that to manage disease. I have seen a lot of improvement, way much better than I have seen in a situation where all I'm doing is giving someone prescription medicine. Let me give you a little background to how I started practicing. I know most people ask me, but how do you balance it? But you're a medical doctor, how do you do it? So sometimes I tell people that I'm a Christian first before I'm a medical doctor. So it is God who has called me on this journey, and I've always wanted to listen to what God tells me. So how we actually started is when I graduated with my primary degree, and I started working at a central hospital in Zimbabwe. That was 2009. I kept asking myself as we were running the clinics, each time I see a patient, I give them a prescription. The next time they come, no matter how careful they are in taking their prescription medicine, they come back, the blood pressures are not controlled, the sugars are not controlled. One way or the other, I have to add another drug for the hypertension. I started with one, I'm now on two, I end up with three. I have diabetes on board. I have to continue adding. So I felt very useless. Like, is this why I became a doctor? Just to be, titrating doses and writing, 2 tablets today, 3 types tomorrow, 4, and then the patient's clinical condition or quality of life is really not changing. So when I was thinking about it, it became a little bit depressing. I also looked at, when I was still a student, we used to have a register of patients, and we used to follow up patients and call patients when they miss their clinics, the heart failure patients. You want to follow them up and phone them. But the numbers grew so big that we couldn't cope. And if you look at the figures now, or heart disease, hypertension, diabetes, these are leading world killers, and the numbers are just ballooning. Even obesity, you look at it, the numbers are ballooning and you can't cope. So I was looking at myself and thinking, okay, I am a doctor. My job really has come down to writing prescriptions and adjusting prescriptions according to the readings that I have in front of me. But is that all that I can do. What exactly am I doing to the next person who does that person who already has a diagnosis? I was a patient myself. I used to have dysfunctional uterine bleeding, very painful periods, and I would bleed so heavily during my periods as well. And then all I could have was, okay, take the brufen, take the Indosit or the diclofenac, make sure to take iron supplements, and that's it. And so I kept asking, is there nothing more that can be done? Then, with careful little steps, God guided me to learn how He wants us to approach disease. And I started making those small changes step by step, and then got some training. I was trained later. I did 2 modules in medical missionary training, and then I started bringing together the medical part that I had learned in medical school and the medical missionary part that I had learned, put it together, put it into practice, and I tell you, God always stands by His word. Once you do what He said He should do, He will always do His part. I have seen amazing results. Well, as for me, I don't have those long bleeding days. It's gone now. It's just like normal menses. I also used to have very bad headaches. I'm still having the headaches going on, but now it's much better than before. I used to have headaches maybe once or twice a month, and this bouts of headaches will last about 3 to 7 days. Twice a month it was bad. Now it's much better, and I can actually tell when I'm more careful with what I'm eating, what I'm drinking, my exercise. When I'm more careful with that, the headaches sometimes don't even happen, and if they do happen, they're just like negligible. But that time where my lifestyle is disturbed, I have even worse headaches than the time that I'm being more obedient to the health laws that I've come to know now. So I want to emphasize to you, say, whatever disease you have, whether I want to prevent it or reverse it, the key to that disease reversal or preventing that disease is based on obedience to what God has said. If you read John 9, verse 1 to 9, I've just added it here. I know yesterday it was such an extensive talk. John 9, verse 1 to 9, we see Jesus meeting that man who was blind from birth. And what he does is he spits on the ground, he makes some clay, he mixes with some clay, he makes clay, and he puts on the person's eyes, and he tells him to go and wash. So I just wanted to highlight how even God, even Jesus, when he was here on earth, was also using remedies in the treatment of disease. And sometimes he would just say, be healed, and someone would be healed. And sometimes he decided to use the remedies that were close to him. And let me tell you, I've actually come to learn that clay can be used for the treatment of plenty of diseases you wouldn't believe it. We use it at Bethel, or even all the patients I consult online, we do use the different types of clay for the different treatments, and we do get big results. So let's continue. I think these verses give us a baseline of how our talk is going to proceed. So the biggest natural remedy is food. Food is double-edged. It's like a double-edged sword. On the other hand, it is the biggest natural remedy for disease. On the other side, it is the biggest cause of disease. When I get my patients, there's a form that we email you. If we're doing an online consultation, we email you a form, or if you're coming and seeing me physically, I give you a form you fill in. There's a big section about what you're eating. And I know that almost always people know. So I'm just saying that when a person comes to me for consultation, whether we being online or physical consultation, I email them a form. And on that form, there is a huge section where you're supposed to include the food that you eat. Sometimes people know what they are indulging in and they're not supposed to be actually eating it. Then they start saying, because I eat it once in a while, must I also include it? Sometimes when I ask further, you realize that once in a while is actually too frequent. It's not the, it's not once in a while, like once in a month or once in 3 months. It's something that they're actually eating frequently, but they haven't realized that they're actually eating it way much more than they are supposed to do. So I want us to understand that food can make or break us when it comes to disease. What you eat has got a huge bearing on what disease you suffer from. We need to be able to choose wisely as to what we eat. I'll tell you one story. I had one patient who came and was consulting. She was obese, she had hypertension, she was always feeling tired. And then after the consultation, we went through the food section. And then she's like, you know what? You have literally told me that the food that I've eaten for the rest of my life was actually not food at all. It was poison. I was feeding on poison. I told her, yeah, that's exactly what it is. So now can we start working? We started with her, changed her diet, changed her lifestyle. I literally gave her a list of the foods that she can eat. And I told her, if you see anything that you think is good for you, talk to me before you buy it. Talk to me before you eat it, and we go through it together, and we can say, is it safe? Is it not safe? She followed, and she lost the weight. The blood pressure went. The energy came back. She was now walking so many kilometers a day, doing her daily exercises. She had all the energy. I also had one patient. He was in his 60s, and he was working in the mines. He was big. He had hypertension. He was pre-diabetic. He also was having difficulty sleeping. He couldn't sleep. If he sleeps for about an hour or so, then he wakes up and that's it. And when we started working with him, we changed his diet, we changed everything that he was eating to a complete new way of eating. And as he continued, he lost the weight, the blood pressure medication started being dropped until when he was completely free of any blood pressure. He didn't have any high blood pressure, he didn't need any medication. He was in his words, he says, I'm now sleeping like a baby, to the point that his son was a bit worried. He was like, okay, when did you start sleeping? When did you actually start sleeping? And he was feeling like a new person. Just recently, I had another patient I was working with, a diabetic patient, and now we changed the food he was eating, helped him to make proper food choices. And he just sent me a message one day that, you know what, now I believe that food can actually kill someone. And he says the irony that food which is supposed to sustain life, if not taken properly, can actually take life. So that's the power of food. If I would be told to just choose one remedy for my patients, if they'll say, okay, of all the things that you do to your patients, we are taking everything away, we leave you with one. What's that one thing that you want to carry forward with? It is adjusting people's tables. Food gives the biggest results in disease reversal. It also gives the biggest changes in causing disease. So when we are choosing what to eat, we need to be careful. And I always say this when I present about food: what you do not know can actually kill you. Poison does not stop killing you just because you didn't know it was poison. If someone puts poison in a bottle of Coca-Cola and I take it and I drink thinking that it's Coca-Cola, if it's poison, I'm still going to die despite my ignorance. So what you don't know actually kills you. So I try to ask people not to eat what they don't know. Turn that package and read the ingredients. If you don't know it, don't eat it, because what you don't know can actually kill you. Sometimes I ask people, you can't even pronounce what they've written. They write so many names and they give codes, the E635, E621, E whatever and you have no idea what those codes are, but you still eat anyway. I also want to make this point that if there's a dangerous person to trust, it is a person in business. Someone who is out there to make money is very untrustworthy. They are going to do everything to stay under the radar, to make sure they maximize their profits. Their food stays for as long as possible on the shelves. Their food is as attractive as possible on the shelves. And even if you point out that whatever they're adding can actually be poisonous, you know what they tell you? They tell you that they're only adding in allowed quantities. They don't say it's not poison. No, it is poison, but they are using it in allowed quantities. You know, and there was one story, one big story of someone who was suing the Chinese restaurant at some point somewhere in the world because they were using MSG to cook. And he had taken, what he did was he came in, he ate, and then he said he found fault with the meal and they had to give him another meal and he ate again. He went out and he came back. So he ended up eating about 3 or so meals at the same go from the like the same day from that same restaurant. And then he started having seizures, and then they sued. He was now suing them because it was now proven that the monosodium glutamate can actually cause seizures. And then the defense was he ate more than he was supposed to. If you eat what you're supposed to eat, you're not supposed to get it. You know, so that was their, you know, that was their defense. So my question is, how far off the risk are you willing to take for your health? How much risk are you willing to take? You know, it's like, would you rather be, you know, do you want to be as close to the cliff as possible, or would you rather stay as far away as possible from the cliff and be safe? I also always emphasize that people are very careful with what they put in their cars. You know, if you're a driver, if you own a car, you are not just going to buy the next liquid that's available and pour it into your car. You're going to make sure, is this the proper coolant? Is this water? Is this the proper oil that you're supposed to use? You know. But if you look around you, you see so many car parts shops. You see so many mechanics. Your car, whatever thing that can go wrong with your car, someone is there ready to fix it. But with our bodies, it's different. There is no body shop with body parts where you can just say, okay, I think my heart is now a little bit weak. Can I change it? Or my kidneys, you know, of course we do have heart transplants and kidney transplants, but how easy is it to get those done on you? And your quality of life after you've had a transplant is not the same as if you had your original organ. You know, we do not have muscles being sold everywhere. Okay, this muscle is now just worn out. I can just go to the next shop and buy a muscle and put it back. So I always say you must take care more of your body than your car, you know. And even if your car gets involved in an accident and it's a write-off, you can still always replace it. But you cannot do that with your body. You need to be very careful what you put in your body, because once you lose this machine, it might be very difficult or next to impossible for you to gain it back. So as I emphasizing on food, I'm going to give you this guide. This is the first step of what we do when we are reversing disease. Remember, when God created, in Genesis chapter 2, he made men and woman, right? He made them from the dust of the ground. It is God who put that cardiovascular system in you when he was creating. It is God who put that respiratory system in you when he was creating. It is God who put that brain where it is and put all those neurons in place and how messages are supposed to be sent. It is God who made this musculoskeletal system, even your digestive system. In that one verse that God created, he made the male and female, created male and female created he them. If you read Genesis chapter 2, coming from verse 7, going down. So after God has created, he knows what kind of machinery he has put in you. And so he is the best person to ask how to take care of this machinery. I'm a medical doctor. I spent years trying to learn this machinery that God created. So there is no way I am going to know more than the creator. God, being the creator, knows more than me. What I know is just minute, the tiniest bit. So if I'm going to ask myself, what shall I eat? I must remember that the system that allows me to feel hungry is a system that was put in place by God. It is not men who sit down, and be like, what can we invent? Let's invent hunger, you see? Let's get hungry and see what happens. No, it was God who invented hunger. It's God who created you with the mechanism that brings about hunger. It is God who created you with the mechanism that brings about thirst. So if we want to quench our thirst, or if we want to attend to our hunger in a way that does not go opposite to what God has said, we need to get back to Him and ask Him what He wants us to do. So when you go through that chapter, Genesis chapter 2 up to chapter 3, you see what God gave man as food. He says, I've created you, I put these cells in you, I know how your heart works, I know what machinery I put in you. This is the food that's good for you. He gave us all the plants, He gave us the fruits, He gave us, all the produce that we get from the plants. And He did not make a mistake by not making us survive on animal products. He knew what He was doing. And for quenching our thirst, He made sure He gave us water to drink. We'll talk about water a bit later. So if we want to reverse disease, and this is what we have used, you see, Bethel has been practicing for about 9 years now. And this is what we've been using for these 9 years. And we've got heaps and heaps of files of people who have had their diseases reversed. And let me tell you, I have seen from hypertension to diabetes to cancer to subfertility, people failing to have children, to endometriosis. I've seen patients with ulcers. I've seen patients with that's where we have the sun, these groups that I've put here. These are like groups of put together. Some is food and some are elements, right? I put it together to say this is like a guide on how we can sustain life and how we can reverse disease. So in the group one is the most important. That's where we have the sun, the air, water, and we have the earth. And there is no life outside this. So we need to make sure we have access to the sun, we have good, fresh air around us. If you clean your rooms, make sure to open your windows wide. Make sure to, if you have very heavy curtains, you have to pull them out. Make sure the sun gets in. You also make sure fresh air gets in and can circulate. Do as many windows as possible. Make sure you're drinking enough water, clean water, because your body can not function without this. This is the most important group that you need to take care of. The second group, which is the second in importance in sustaining life, has got nuts, seeds, fruits, vegetables, and the different tubers that we know. So this is the group that we are supposed to eat largely from, okay? And this is the group that sustains life. Group 3 is a group of legumes and grains. These are also very important in our diet, and we need to eat them as well as possible. I need to emphasize, when people eat their grains, they're eating them too refined. By the time they eat that grain, it is useless. It has no value. They have taken out all the fiber, all the core of it. They have super refined it so that it's just now a useless grain. So people can take corn, they over process it, and they give us that white pap, white mealy pap, right? They take corn and they do lots of refining, and we end up with cornflakes. So yes, we're eating a grain, but the grain has been brought through so much processing that by the time you eat it, it doesn't have any value for you. So the legumes and the grains that we encourage you to be eating are those that are unrefined, whole foods. So you see that I'm not really advocating for being vegan. I'm advocating for a whole foods plant-based diet, because Fanta and French fries is vegan, right? So I'm not advocating for just like for vegan. Of course, there is good stuff about being a vegan, but I am saying my point of emphasis is on a diet that is rich in whole foods, plant-based. Right. Let's go to group 4. Meat, fish, chicken, dairy, eggs, and any type of meat, any type of whatever fish, whatever, any animal product that fits in here. And people, some use it sparingly, some use it daily. This is where most diseases come from. So if I am going to use food as a remedy for you, I'm going to stop you this. This is where disease is brewed. So animal products, I'm going to check out. Then we have group 5. This one is even more dangerous, even to the vegans. This is a dangerous group. Group 5 is processed foods. They take anything from group 2, group 3, group 4. They either salt it, they sweeten it, they color it, they preserve it, they flavor it, they package it, and they give it to us. This is a very dangerous group, and it has contributed to disease even in people who have run away from group 4. People who have become vegetarian or vegan, they fall because of this group. There's refined food. You take the grains, you super refine them, you take even the meat, you take the meat. Meat by itself is not good for you, but you take the meat and you come out with those cold cuts, which are even worse than the meat itself. And recently, WHO put those cold meats, they finally agreed to put them across as cancer-causing products. Flour, it's the oils, the oils that we use, it's the margarine, it's the butter, it's the polonies, it's the white bread made from white flour, it's the cakes made from white flour and white sugar. It's made, it's mostly group 5. Look at it. They take the macaroni, which is wheat, which has been super processed into white macaroni, and that's what's in their trolley. So most people, when I started learning about this, I did a little exercise. I was going in and out. Of course, I had time. I went into the big shops, and I was just looking into people's trolleys, and you see that 80% of their food in their trolleys is all group 5. It's the cordials, it's the biscuits made from white flour, baking powder, soda, and bicarbonate of soda. It's colors, food colors. It's, you really look at it and you see that there is no live food. My kids now know that. They look at your plate and they say, "Mommy, but all that food is dead." They're telling you that you don't have anything alive that's going to keep you alive. So I'm just emphasizing this point that when you have disease or when you want to reverse disease, the first natural remedy is food. What are you eating? Take a second look at your plate. I would advise you, if we go from group 1 to group 3, perfect, I'm happy. If you eat in group 4, I need you to start making changes. And group 5, you need to change as soon as yesterday. Stay away. Potatoes are good for you. You can eat potatoes. But when those potatoes have been taken and been cut into tiny pieces and they've been deep fried and they have been preserved, they've been salted and they've been packaged for you, they gain lots of calories along the way, and they're empty calories, and they get less filling along the way. I tell you, if you eat your stewed 2 potatoes, you're going to be full. But you can easily finish a 125 grams of potato chips without even knowing that you were eating something. And after eating that 125-gram packet of chips, you still need to eat food on top of it. So processing sneaks in lots of additionals that we do not want, that our bodies cannot handle, that our bodies do not like. And that's going to cause a state of chronic inflammation, which is going to give us all the non-communicable diseases that we know about. So when we are talking about disease reversal, when we are talking about natural remedies or dealing with disease, the way that God has given us direction, we're talking about making sure you eat the proper things. And just by changing your food, you can change your script. That prescription that your doctor writes for you can easily change just because you've changed what you're eating. Let me not overemphasize and let's move on. Okay, we're looking at water. I usually call water liquid gold. You know, water is so important in disease reversal. It is so important a remedy that most of us don't realize it. So we do encourage drinking water. We know we're supposed to drink enough water. Please make sure you drink water. I know people will say, but I can't drink water. Water doesn't have any taste. By definition, water is not supposed to have taste. If you're now starting to put taste into water, then it's now moving away from its definition, right? But if you find that it's very difficult for you to just drink water, you can flavor it. Not buying the sparkling water, no, or the flavored water. You can flavor it with something that's not going to add to the disease process. I mean something like a real fruit, like lemon, like oranges, like grapefruit, like even vegetables like cucumbers, like lettuce. You can soak your water, clean up your lettuce nicely or clean up your cucumber nicely, cut thin slices, put it in the water, let it soak overnight or even during the day, and you can drink that. It's going to come as flavored water, but not flavored with toxins, okay? We also use water treatments. We do hydrotherapies, you see. I've just given an example there of a foot bath. We do this, for example, the foot bath when someone has a very bad headache or has congestion or has got very bad period pain. We do hot foot baths. We can put your feet in hot water. Don't scald yourself. We put as hot as you can tolerate, and we put a cold towel on your forehead to balance it out so that you actually don't get headaches afterward. So we put a cold towel on your forehead. We put hot water in a bowl or in a bucket, and your feet must fit in, not one foot on top of the other. You must sit in comfortably for about 15-20 minutes. We do this treatment for you, and even for people who have difficulties falling asleep, we do this, and they can sleep perfectly, and they can sleep nicely. I used to have old people. People think that when you're old, it's a justification for being sick. No, you can be old and okay. You don't have to be sick. You don't have to be old and sick. You can actually age gracefully. So I had this go-go who thought, well, because she's now so old, she doesn't deserve to sleep anymore. She is worried about a lot of things, and she's now old. She's not going to sleep like a baby anymore. And we did this treatment, and the next day she was surprised that the sun had come out before she woke up. So, and she was like, what? The sun is already out. I have never in my life, I had a motto that I rise up before the sun. And she had come complaining of insomnia as well. So insomnia, which is difficult sleeping. So water treatments are actually very good treatments to do. Let me also be quick to say, you need to be rational with the water treatments. I know there are some people who peddle water treatments that really don't make sense or have not yet made sense to me. We want you to drink water, that's good, but we're not asking you to drink 5 liters of water at one go. No, it doesn't work that way. Your body cannot handle you taking 5 liters or 10 liters of water at one go. You drink the water rationally. You know the amount of water you need to drink. You spread it throughout your day. You also adjust it according to your activity and according to the weather as well. It's not drink water, 5 liters, sit, finish it. No, God doesn't do things that that really don't make sense. Remember in Isaiah chapter 1, he says, come, let us reason together. He wants us also to use our minds and put on our thinking caps and compare what the information we are getting from what he has done before. So God wants us to drink water, that we agree. He created thirst in us. He provided the water to drink. Even if you follow the children of Israel as they were walking through from Egypt to Canaan, you see that at different points, God provided water to drink. From the rock, he provided water. When they go to Mara, he administered a treatment that made the water drinkable, and he made the children of Israel to camp by Elim, where there were 12 wells of clean water, good water to drink. So God wants us to drink water, and all the other drinks we make for ourselves, but God gave us water to drink, and we can use the water for different treatments as different remedies, and it's not harmful to anyone, and it gives you very good results. We can also do the hot and cold compresses. These have been with us for a long period of time. You realize even long back, or even our gogos in the rural areas, we have never been to any medical school. You realize that when you get hurt, gogo is going to take her towel, put in the hot water and wring it and start compressing. That's a good water treatment, hot and cold compresses. I remember one day when I was practicing somewhere, I met a patient who had backache. So he was referred, because I was working at a bigger hospital, he was referred to be seen by the specialist. And he had to be seen by us first before we refer him to the specialist. So I saw him, and he was on literally every stop pain you can think of, and he was on the maximum doses. So he's like, and now I'm not working, my wife is not working, I am so I'm now getting into depression. How am I going to take care of my children? I need to see that specialist now. And I told him, you know what, it's not possible. You cannot just walk in and see the specialist now. It was a government hospital, so you need to wait. And then he's like, okay. He looks at me. He was looking very hopeless, and helpless together with it. And I told him, no, you know what, you can go and do. The wife was there, and I gave them the instruction. Go and do hot and cold compresses. You alternate. You have your bucket with ice water. You have your bucket with boiling water. Make sure not to scald him. So I told the wife, you take your 2 towels, 1 towel in the cold water, 1 towel in the hot water. You put the hot water first and you compress. As soon as you finish with the hot water, you put the towel that's coming from the ice water. Keep doing this on all the areas of spasms, and he was in pain. So he went, and the first time I consulted him, he was in a wheelchair, and then they left. He went home. I was supposed to see them a week after that, review their results, and then book them the clinic, the specialist clinic. So the next time he came, it was a week, only 1 week, and he came and he was walking, and I couldn't even recognize him. He walked in. He said, he's like, okay, doctor, I came here for 2 reasons. 1, to say thank you. 2, to say, can you please cancel that appointment for the specialist? I don't need him anymore. His muscle spasms were gone. Of course, his x-rays were fine. He didn't need anything else he didn't need any surgery or anything for his back. His muscle spasms were gone. His pain was gone, and he was going back to work. And he has been fine. Just, sometimes it's too simple to believe. I remember when I started practicing at Bethel Bella Vita, I told my husband that, some of these things, they don't make sense to my medical mind. I don't understand how this is happening, but I kept seeing it on a daily basis. And these results that I'm telling you are reproducible. Try it on anyone, change their food. You see, it's reproducible. Let them start drinking water. Let them do the external water treatments if they need it. It's quite reproducible, and it is quite effective. So we have stuck with hydrotherapy. We do different hydrotherapies for the different patients that we see. Exercise. I want to emphasize that I think everyone else knows that exercise is important, but I want to emphasize that exercise has been proven to reverse extensive disease processes. Exercise has been proven to reverse fatty liver. People who have diabetes, people who have central obesity, people with the Jojo tanks, right? They are at high risk of having fatty livers. People who drink alcohol, they also at risk of having fatty liver from the alcohol. So exercise is the one factor that has been proved to reverse a fatty liver. And adequate exercise is when you sweat for at least 30 minutes. So it's not like, let's go for a walk, Chummy, let's go. And then you walk, you're discussing, you're talking, you're talking about different issues. You talk about the state of the affairs, you talk about whatever the Zondo Commission, you talk about the royal family, you laugh, and you walk back into your gate and you're like, we're coming from a walk. No, that doesn't benefit you. You need to get your heart rate up. You need to walk fast. Even if you can't run, walking is good enough. You can just do brisk walking. That's good for you. Do your brisk walking, lift weights if you can, do the home stretches, exercises if you can. Make sure to sweat a continuous 30 minutes for at least 4 days a week. Then you are having enough exercise, and that has been proved to reverse disease. There are plenty of scientific papers that have shown the benefits of exercise in disease reversal. So if you come to see me or any practitioner at Bethel, you are going to go with your script written, exercise once daily for 4 days a week instead of take these 2 tablets 3 times a day. You are going to get that script, and disease can be reversed by exercise. Disease can be prevented and disease can be reversed by exercise. It's such a big natural remedy that people don't really think about. So I want to challenge you, whatever disease that you have, you need to exercise. And I push my patients for exercise. Those who we do online programs with, they know that I'm going to message them. How is the exercise? I need my exercise report. Whatever app you are using, you take a screenshot and you send me your app, you send me your steps, you send me what you have done. And while you're at it, a person is generally advised to have at least 10,000 steps a day. So there are some people who think they walk a lot at work. I want you to ask yourself, how many times have you actually walked to such an extent that you sweat continuously for 30 minutes when you're at work? But walking around at work is good. Keep walking around. Don't sit for long hours. Sitting has been proven to be more dangerous than smoking. So if you're sitting for long hours, you're at higher risk of disease than someone who is actually smoking. So you need to get off that chair, stand, walk, maximize the walking around. But I also need you to do meaningful exercise. Take advantage of where you can walk. Don't go when park in the mall. Don't park just by the door, by the entrance that you want to use. Try to park a distance so that you can walk and you walk back. Try to avoid stairs. Try to walk as much as you can. At least 10,000 steps a day. Most people these days have got smartwatches, or they've got apps on their, whether it's their Android or their iPhones. They can track their steps. Have an aim every day, at least 10,000 steps, and you see what that does to you. It is quite important in disease reversal. Then trusting in God. I want to say trust is based on relationship. You do not just wake up and trust someone. You build a relationship with them and then you trust them. So I want to encourage all of us to build a relationship with God. Remember that verse that we read, that it is God who healeth all thy diseases. And God promising that if you obey me, I'll put none of these diseases that I put on the Egyptians on you. For I am the Lord your God who healeth you. You need to have a relationship with him for you to trust those words. And for those words to work on you, you need to build a relationship with God. So let's build a relationship with God. There's some people who have done some studies, and they have proven that people who are religious deal with disease differently than people who are not religious. People who are religious have got better chances of recovery from any form of disease. And these are people who are trying to measure it scientifically and putting it into papers. I want to encourage you to have a steady relationship with God. That relationship is a big natural remedy that you can actually use to reverse whatever disease process that's going on in you. Remember, stress is also a form of disease, and stress is linked to a lot of other diseases like ulcers. You know, peptic ulcers, people have got ulcers and they are so stressed and the ulcers get worse. So trusting in God can deal with that arm of disease so that you overcome whatever disease process that's going on. Then let me talk about hygiene. You know, I don't have to ever emphasize, we do have certain diseases that are known for a fact that they are related to unhygienic practices. We do have cholera, for example. It is known. Dysentery, it is known. You were not as hygienic as you're supposed to. Take even into consideration the COVID-19 pandemic that we going through. It's all of what we are doing is trying to emphasize on hygienic processes. Wash your hands, sanitize your hands, because it's not practical for you to always have a sink and water and soap to wash your hands. You can use the sanitizer, but we are only emphasizing hygiene. I want to encourage you, please clean up your rooms, clean up your offices, clean up, get rid of debt. You know, some people have got some degree of hoarding in them, and they keep things that they're never going to use. You know, I see people keeping shoes. They only have got one shoe. The other shoe was lost like 6 years ago. They have no hope of ever finding it. They're still keeping the one shoe. Some people keep, you know, the chargers. When the charger gets broken, you have already bought a new one, but you still keep this one. Why? You do have padlocks that don't have the keys anymore, or keys that don't have the padlocks anymore. You still keep them. People keep clutter. You need to declutter and clean up. When your environment is all has got clutter everywhere, you are going to breathe not the pure air that you're supposed to. So you need to breathe pure, clean air. So please declutter and clean up. Clean your premises. Wash your clothes. Make sure you're wearing clean clothes, using clean utensils. Your kitchen is clean. Your bedroom is clean. Your environment, your outside environment is clean. Declutter. Throw away all the stuff that you don't need. It actually does well to help you heal. You know. So take an effort, clean up. Use safe cleaning agents. Clean. Make sure you have clean air, clean environment, clean rooms, clean utensils. Wash your hands always and be clean. Then you will prevent a lot of diseases, and you will uh, reverse a lot of disease. You will not worsen uh, uh, any disease that you have. So hygiene practices are going to be part of your, they're going to be part of your prescription. The last thing I share with the natural remedies is the herbal effective, and I do agree it's effective. And most of these herbs, the herbal teas that we do, it is the usual herbs that we use on a day-to-day basis, even for our cooking. We use lavender, we use rosemary, we use oregano, we use mint, we use different types of basil, we use different types of herbs in our cooking, and it is those same herbs that can actually be utilized for helping in reversing disease. I want to emphasize this point. You do not get diabetes and then just eat the wrong things, while you don't exercise, while you don't drink water, while Okay, looks like we're going to have another break there. Okay, let me continue. So what I was saying is we do use the herbal remedies and the supplements to help us as we are reversing disease. But in these herbs, like I said, it's all the usual herbs that we usually use in our day-to-day life for our food. We do have some herbal remedies that are not part of our food, but that we use for treatments. But what I need you to understand is you do not get to be diabetic and then you do not exercise, you do not change the way you are eating, you do not drink water, you do not sleep well, you do not have any trust in God. All you want to do is grab the next herb and drink. No, it doesn't work that way. Disease reversal is stepwise. Those herbs in the presence of a toxic lifestyle are not going to give you as much benefit. They are not going to do the magic. Herbs are not going to exercise for you. Herbs are not going to eat right for you. This is a combination of all the good practices together. And then when you put the herbal remedies on top, you are putting an icing on the cake. And let me tell you, they do work. They've been proven scientifically to work. They have been proven by experience to work. We have some people who have documented it, and their degrees that people are doing, even getting to PhDs, investigating the chemical properties of herbs. And I have used them in my practice, and I've seen that they work. But I do not just push for you to get the next herb, eat anyhow, drink anyhow, sleep anyhow, and drink a herb. No, it doesn't work that way. You eat right, drink right, sleep right, get the herbs to help you, and they will help you. So incorporate them in your food, make them as teas, and they will help you. Some people have got more knowledge than the others regarding herbs. If you don't know how to use it, you need to consult people who are trained in it, and they can help you so that you do not take toxic herbs. Some herbs are good to use externally only. You can't drink them. So you need to be assisted by someone who knows if you do not know, and then you can use them whether externally, whether internally, and you have a complete package. Growing up, I grew up in the rural areas of Zimbabwe. We used to have lots of herbal treatments. You get a cut, there was a leaf that you could just squeeze the green juice and put there, and the next day the cut is dry. You have a headache, like the headaches that I was telling you about. There was a plant that you just take the leaf, and the leaf, crush it a bit, inhale it one nostril after the other, the headache is gone. I have been brought up in an environment where herbs were being used extensively. And it's common knowledge in the community. This is not even herbs that you go to a herbalist or a traditional healer to go and say, hey, I have this, can you tell me what to use? No, most of these herbs that we used growing up, especially the indigenous herbs, these are herbs that are common knowledge. They are common knowledge to everyone. You do have a stomach ache, there was a herb for it, and you could see it while we were tending the cows and the goats. I have a stomach ache, if you just uproot it, chew the root and whatever, and then you are fine. So as long as humanity has been here, herbs have been used, and they've been used successfully. Of course, we do have such cases where people ended up taking poisonous plants, and people ended up taking the other plants that they were not too sure of. They didn't get the benefit, or they actually killed their kidneys, or they killed their liver because of what they were using. And remember also, what I said in the beginning also applies to the herbs. What you do not know can actually kill you. So be sure you're taking what you know, or you're taking what someone who's properly trained is giving you, to avoid you killing your kidneys or killing your liver. There are some herbs that can be used safely, effectively, but you need to be careful. If you do not have much information about herbs, I would encourage you to use the ones that we use as food. Those ones are the safest ever. Even if you don't have any knowledge whatsoever, you're not going to die because you ate rosemary. We eat rosemary every day. We eat basil, we eat lavender, we eat coriander, we eat oregano. So these herbs that we use in our cooking, parsley, we use it in our cooking all the time, and they are the safest ever. They're the safest place to start. Then if you need the other bigger names that come from the people who have been trained with their guide, you can use them and you can use them successfully. We do use chamomile for our patients. You know, they take chamomile at night, they take stinging nettle, they take milk thistle, they do take all those, and we monitor them as they do. With the proper training, we never have problems, and we do have good results. Great results, I can tell you. We do have very good results, great results. Disease reversal happens, but also remember that this is many pillars that are supporting this building. You cannot choose one pillar and go with it. You need to put everything together, combine everything, and use it for your disease reversal. We also use clay. Like I said, we have some patients who come in very weak. They don't have, they're very weak, and they have some of the electrolytes are very low, low calcium, magnesium, it's low, maybe sometimes not too low that they actually need quick replacement, like they need IV, no, but the levels are lower than what they're supposed to be. I've had patients who have fatigue, even patients who fail to sleep, and we have made this clay and we cover their whole body. Even people with acne and all the skin conditions, the allergies that they have on their eczemas that they have on their skins, we take that clay, we put it on them, it dries up, and then they go wash it away. Already your skin can absorb the minerals that are in that clay, and they get into your body, and you see someone now rejuvenated, they are all okay, and their energy levels have been boosted. So clay is actually a very good remedy to use as well. Activated charcoal, I would advise all the homes, all the kitchens, in your medicine boards, you must keep activated charcoal. It has got a million, zillion uses, right? Use activated charcoal. Do not take it dry. You have to put it in water. For any poisonings, as a first aid, for your ulcers, people who get ulcer pain, you can use activated charcoal. I have used it plenty of times. Sometimes you get a stomach upset, you have eaten something, that was going bad, or you overate, and you get this stomach upset, you can still use activated charcoal. Even activated charcoal is safe, even for babies, like 1-day-old babies. They can take activated charcoal. Even pregnant people, breastfeeding people, old people, anyone can take activated charcoal. Just keep it with you. It can actually come in handy as a natural remedy. I tried to put together my experience and what I know and how I approach disease. I hope this is going to help someone who is battling to reverse disease, or someone who wants to prevent disease, or someone with multiple diagnoses and they're really stuck. They're now taking 15 or so tablets a day. Sometimes there's a time when I write a prescription, I look at the script, I look at the patient, I look at the script, I look at the patient. I feel sorry for this patient, but I'm writing 15 different types. I write from number 1 to number 15. These are different types of tablets that someone has to go and take. And when someone has come to that point, drug interactions happen as well. And I just think if this person could take the option, if only they could take the option of changing their lifestyle, let their food become their treatment. Let them use food as a natural remedy. Let them use water as a natural remedy. Let them have exercise. Let them trust God. Let them use the simple herbs that we have for our use. Let them do the natural remedies, even with the water. Let them do the simple treatments, and they can get help. So I hope with this talk, I've just managed to whet your appetite to go and read and study some more. I'm told tomorrow we'll meet again for a question and answer session. Let me warn you, I'm very honest. If you ask a question that I don't have the answer, I am just going to tell you that I don't have the answer. But I'll try by all means to answer the questions directed to me. If you haven't watched yesterday's presentation, I highly recommend you to watch it. And then when you watch it and then you watch this one, combine the two together. And hopefully by God's grace, tomorrow we meet and we tell you much more of my own testimonies, the questions that I've made, the diseases that have been reversed. Sometimes it sounds too good to be true, but that's God for you. He usually sounds like presentation.